Hundreds of thousands of bodies could be buried in Syrian mass graves, the advocacy group say. Members of Syria's White Helmet Civil Defense collect human remains at the mass grave that was uncovered in Damascus on Monday. CNN: Syrians are starting to uncover mass graves across the country, shedding light on the magnitude of atrocities committed during the brutal rule of ousted dictator Bashar al-Assad. More than 2 weeks after Assad fled Syria and his regime collapsed, scores of Syrian families still have no answer about what happened to their loved ones following their detention by Assad's secret police. Hundreds of thousands of bodies of people tortured to death by the Assad regime could be buried in the mass grave east of Damascus, according to Mouz Mustafa, executive director of the US-based Syrian Emergency Task Force, an anti-Assad advocacy group. After years of work to expose mass graves, Mustafa told CNN he's finally been able to visit suspected site after Assad's fall. The alleged mass grave site in the city of Quitafa, about 45 kilometers, 28 miles from Damascus, is marked by trenches 6 to 7 meters, 90 to 23 feet deep, 3 to 4 meters wide, and 50 to 150 meters long, according to SETF. Mustafa said grave diggers who worked at the site had told him that 4 tractor-trailer trucks, each carrying over 150 bodies in each, came twice a week from 2012 until 2018. That week amounted to hundreds of thousands of bodies, he told CNN. The team's work on the uncovered mass grave believed to contain the remains of civilians killed by the ousted Assad regime on the road to Damascus International Airport in the Syrian capital, Damascus, on Monday. The bulldozer excavator driver described how intelligence officers forced the workers to use the bulldozers to flatten and compress the bodies to make them fit and easier to bury before digging the next line trench, Mustafa said. On Monday, the reporter emerged of the more than 20 bodies found in the mass grave north of Izra in Daraa Governorate, south near Syria. Videos from the Agence France Presse news agency showed the man digging and pulling bones from the dirt. Or another shows 2 rows of covered bodies lying on the ground and the bulldozer gently trying to dig the top layer of the soil. Some 150,000 people in Syria unaccounted for, most of whom were kidnapped or detained by the Assad regime or its affiliated, according to the International Commission on Missing Persons. CNN cannot independently verify this number. Bodies identified by numbers. In 2020, a man known as the Grave Digger told a German court he was recruited by the Assad regime to bury hundreds of bodies in mass graves, according to the ICMP. The bodies were those of Syrians from various detention centers. The witness told the trial of the former Syrian intelligence officers. The man said that, along with the others, he would escort multiple trucks loaded by anywhere between 300 to 700 corpses to mass graves in Qataifa, north of Damascus, and Al-Nazah to the south 4 times a week. The bodies could only be identified by the numbers etched on their chest or forehead and exhibited severe signs of torture and mutilation, according to the ICMP. SETF's Mustafa said he's aware of at least 8 mass grave sites in Syria. He also urged international experts to come to the country to help with the process of exhuming and identifying bodies. Members of Syria's White Helmets Civil Defense walked at the mass grave where remains of bodies believed to be those of civilians killed by the ousted regime of Bashar al-Assad are found in the Baghdad Bridge area outside the capital Damascus, Syria on Tuesday. Jennifer Fenton, the spokesperson for the United Nations Special Envoy to Syria, said that last week that related documentation to detained site and mass grave must be secured to aid families in their search for justice and accountability. We must prioritize the accounting for the missing, ensuring the families receive the clarity and recognition by definite desperately need, he said in a press briefing. One of those family members is Hazim Dakel from Idlib, who now lives in Sweden. Dakel said his uncle Nazif was arrested in 2012 and it was later confirmed by the family as having been killed. His brother Ahmed was detained the following year. He said former detainees in the notorious Saidnaya prison near Damascus said Ahmed had disappeared in mid-April 2015 after being tortured there. But the regime never acknowledged his death. The family is now certain Ahmed died under the torture in Saidnaya. Dakel posted on Facebook. Amid the celebrations Assad's fall, there's also been great sadness among families of those who went missing. They're mourning their children, Dakel said. Yes, the regime fell after resistance and struggle, but there was sorrow, like where are our children? Ayed Kurdi and Lazek contributed to this report.